Ref.
Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I'm joined by Lawrence Cornley. We're watching Celtic versus Motherwell. It's one apiece. Lawrence, I was just saying before we jump back on live there, seemed to be quite comfortable, actually, one goal up. And then we concede the goal, and then it's almost as if Motherwell got a second wind. But we need to remain calm in situations like that. We should know better. Not to panic in situations like that, because it seemed as though the game plan went out the window when Motherwell came back into it.
Yeah, started to get sloppy. Casper's distribution again. You know, you're and that passing at the back, just between the two centre halves, and Casper came back into it. But kind of 2 minutes before Motherwell scored, I thought it's a free kick. Rio's brought down the edge of their box, and the ref
definite free kick.
That's where they win the ball. Go up the park. Keeper, striker, he splits the centre half well. I don't think Scales knows how far away from him he is. The ball's in the 6-yard box. Should the keeper be coming out for it? He's staying in his line. The guys beat him easy. Never offside, but might have wound it back to the foul on Rio and had a look at that. But it looked like game plan was working. We've not had many clear-cut chances, although Callum's had a bit more energy, a bit further forward, which was good. Marcello, a decent chance. And kind of near the end of the half there, Rio and Maeda work on opening. And, actually, you'd expect him to go on the end of it, but the defender beats him to it. He looked to take a sore one. But when he actually looked like the guy came in late from behind on him. Yeah, nothing given. But hopefully he's fit enough to complete the game, because he seemed to be holding his thigh when he went off there at half time. But yeah, we'll look to be comfortable, and we'll look to have a wee bit more energy. Apart from the right side, what's Maeda doing? I think most of the game he looked happy just to move the ball on. Didn't really want it. And
there was no real intent. There was no real intent from Maeda. And what annoyed me about that, Lawrence, is we know the start that Tchouneki's had to his Celtic career, yet we didn't play him in often enough, if you ask me. Just focus on your left-hand side. That's where all the danger is. We're not getting the ball out there quickly enough to him, are we?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Need to move it a lot quicker. But, we'll look really comfortable to their goal went in. Again, it's creating those final chances, or even when we create them, making sure we're finishing them. We get a pen. I think it's stick on pen. But the worrying thing is, I think they keep 2 or 3 saves kind of before they pulled it back. I think, geez, somebody put a ball in the net.
Who was it? Iheanacho, McGregor, Maeda, and Ralston all had shots, and obviously one of them was handball. And I agree with you; it was a definite penalty. I'll tell you something. One of the criticisms last season was we've signed a penalty taker for £11 million in Arnie Engels. They're worth their weight in gold, penalties in situations like that. But we didn't. We failed to build on it, which frustrates the life out of me, Lawrence. And it's clearly frustrating the fans in the stadium, because there was a chorus of boos once again once the team went off. But it goes right back to what we spoke about before the game. There seems to be a lack of energy, a lack of freshness of ideas. I'm watching the game today, and there's quite a few players on that park I probably wouldn't have started with. Kasper Schmeichel did pull off an excellent save, by the way. Otherwise, Motherwell would have been in the game a lot sooner than they were. So I'm not just going to write him off. He did have a great save 3 minutes before we conceded the goal. The goal that we conceded, Iheanacho, by the way, before I get on to the goal that we conceded, Iheanacho seems so composed. He's one of these guys, Lawrence, that was more or less on the football scrap heap, wasn't he? After a really promising start to his career. Otherwise, he's not at Celtic. I mean, this is the reason we've got him, unfortunately. However, it does seem to have a point to prove. Very, very composed. I love the way, I've said this before, he's very good defensively when we're defending corner kicks. Moussa Dembele was very good at that as well. And again, today he's dropped deep, picking the ball up, getting in the middle of the park. And what that does is it creates space behind us and behind the fullbacks who are drawn out, because he's drawn 1 or 2 defenders out with him. So I'm really impressed with his contribution so far. Whether or not he'll get his 20 goals, I don't know, but he's 3 in already. He's 3 deep. Let's talk about the goal we lost, though. So you're in control. You're thinking to yourself, look, it's not a vintage performance, but let's get to half-time. And we concede a goal in 39 minutes. Terrible to concede that, because you know what? It starts with McCowan trying to play a pass to Ralston. when Ralston really doesn't have the space, but he can't gather the ball. He's dispossessed. And from there, we fail to get the ball back. There's an opportunity for McCowan to clear it. He fails. We allow the cross to come in down their right-hand side, and we fail to defend the cross. So it was like a litany of errors, Lawrence, and a really, really frustrating goal to lose.
Yeah, but I think both centre-halves kind of need to have a look at themselves. Scales was obviously a bit deeper in the rest of the line. It was never offside, but although strikers split them really well. But I don't think Scales are aware of where he is. Carter Vickers should maybe come across to cover him. So it's in the 6-yard box. You need to make sure he's not going to have free challenge or free shot goal. Could the keeper come out? Again, it's a 6-yard box. I don't think Casper's covered himself in glory there. You kind of think 6-yard box should probably be yours, Casper. You should be making a challenge for this. You could see that the guys split them from where Casper is. You can see Scales is cut out, just come in and clear the ball. But yeah, poor goal to lose. Not a lot of pressure on the boy crossing it. It's a decent cross in. All too easy.
All too easy indeed. And I'm going to bring up as many comments as I possibly can in this half-time show. 2,300 mainly frustrated, I would guess, Celtic supporters coming through in the comments. I'm going to start off with Stephen Creamer. Motherwell have been impressive. Us turgid again. I know, Stephen, sometimes it's it's difficult to pay attention to the opposition and how well they've played when you're so frustrated with Celtic. But I think you're right. I think they've played us really, really well in relation to the fact that we had, I thought, control of the game. They've come into it, but since they've equalised, I think for the last 7 or 8 minutes of the game, they really did look as though they had wrested the control from us. Joe Hamilton, you're back in on the YouTube. This team is winning nothing. Now, this is the thing, right? People, and there's some people coming in here, I think, also saying this, and if I find the comments, I'll bring them up. A lot of people are saying that this is reminding them of the COVID season. And I get why, but what I'm going to say, Lawrence, I'm going to counter that and say this reminds me of Brendan Rodgers' first season back, right? Now, we've not quite had the worst performance yet, if it goes down that line, because for me, the worst performance that season was when Hearts beat us 2-0, right? And at home, we had nothing. There was none of that energy that we keep talking about, Lawrence. You're thinking to yourself, we need to pull a few rabbits out the hat in January if we want to win this league. The challenge might come from elsewhere this time round. It may well be coming from Hearts. However, I'm still seeing a lot of the resemblances from that particular season. We had a bad window, just like we did when Brendan came in first time round. We're looking at the team. We're looking at the leaders. Where are they? They seem to have shrunk. I mean, what did McGregor do in that first half to wrestle the influence of the game and grab it with the scruff of the neck and drive us forward? Not much. What did Carter Vickers do? Not a great deal. What did Maeda do? These are the players that you're looking towards, Lawrence, to actually make something happen. These are the guys that should be a given in terms of giving you the consistency week in, week out. They're not giving it to you. Why is that? Well, it's not because of what's happening off the park. It's absolutely not, because this has been a problem that spans right back into last season. I mean, we lost the Scottish Cup with such a performance, where there was no drive, no energy, no positivity. It was turgid, and it has been for some time. So there's no way you can blame it on any of the issues that the fans are raising with the club right now.
Listen, I think Maeda, this is a guy that cleared his locker out at Lennoxtown. So I'm assuming he said to his wife and children, well, we'll be moving. Only to still say it. I think clearly his head's going, but who did we play in the Wrighton Stadium?
Well,
much of that half,
he's been poor.
Happy just to move the ball on.
Really
he didn't seem to want it. He didn't want to seem to try and run his opposite number. He was just happy to play the ball back to a hoop jersey. And you're like, we're needing you to create something. We're needing you to create chances. And the one bit of play that him and Hatate put together, it was a decent chance. I thought, actually should probably have got on the end of it. It's begging to be finished. It's in the 6-yard box. Keeper's caught out.
Decent defending as well. Decent defending.
Yeah, decent defending.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the one time Maeda looked interested.
Mm-hmm.
Ever created a chance.
The thing is, you've said it there, and I don't disagree with you, Lawrence. I think he's been an empty jersey, really, for a large part of that first half. There was a moment where it seemed to open up for him, and he just skied it high and wide from the right. It was just, made of old, if you like, prior to that breakout season. So if we're sitting here at half time, Rodgers is no stranger to making a change at half time. Look at the subs. Who do you change? Do you mix it up just now? Because, normally he will give players to 60 or 65 minutes to redeem themselves. If you make a change right now, what change do you make or changes?
If I was to make a change, it's Nygren that's coming on. I just don't know if he's coming on from McGowan or Maeda. It's if you bring him on for Maeda, what's your change going to be in midfield late in the game? So I'd probably bring Nygren on.
I think you've got good options, Lawrence. If you bring him on the right hand side, right, and by the way, I know that he's played football. A lot of his football as a kind of right winger, but he's not a Trunecki type winger who hits the byline and jinks past players. He's a type of player who seems to kind of float inside, comes inside, maybe looks for the through ball that way. And you know what? Under the circumstances, that might be the change. You've obviously got Forrest on the bench there as well, if you want to go like for like on the right hand side. But Maeda's giving you nothing. The only thing I would say is the point you made in terms of Ian Acsom might well be injured, and if he is injured, Maeda might go into the middle rather than just taking him off for Johnny Kenny. And of course, in terms of the midfield, you do have the options there as well if you were to use Nygren just now. And then again, shining like a beacon there, I'm looking at Balikwisha, because you're thinking to yourself, wouldn't it be great to have a £5 million winger on the bench? Well, we do, and we've not even mentioned him. Why is that, do you think, Lawrence?
Listen, I think outside of Donovan, Trunecki's probably been the highlight of the season so far, and I think that's it. We're looking, he's not been outstanding this game, but you are looking for him to create. He's been a danger man so far this season, and I think it's maybe why we're not looking at Balikwisha just now. There's certainly, I think it's McCowan or Maeda that comes off if we're making a change just now. That's it. Maeda, when Diogo goes his first 12 games in the league, 12 goals. What a return from him. And he doesn't even look like the same player, does he?
No, he doesn't. But we know the circumstances. This is the thing, Lawrence. And if you want to peel back the layers, as I keep saying, this is where what's happening on the park is affected by what happens in the boardroom, because we have a situation now where potentially Rio, and I'm only basing that on an interview that Brendan Rodgers gave during the transfer window, where he said Rio and Dyson may be coming to the end of their cycle. We know that Maeda ended up emptying his locker, etc. Yang has already been down to Birmingham to agree terms, and he's told to come back up the road. He's not even in the squad now. So you've got 3 guys, right, in the first team squad, although he didn't make it into the 18-man squad today, who potentially would be slightly unhappy. You've then got the players that have been brought in who Brendan does not feel obliged to play, or even include in the Europa League squad. Now, you could say there's 4 of them, or you could maybe even extend it to 5. We brought in a goalkeeper who hasn't had a kick of the ball or a save to make. And Ross Doohan, 27, 28-year-old goalkeeper with bags of experience. Is he happy not to play football? I'm pretty sure the answer to that would be no. Callum Osman comes up, a promising player from Fulham who's playing regularly in Premier League 2. Doesn't get a game. You've got Inamura and Shin, who fly from the other side of the world to not play football. And then, of course, the one we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Simpson Pusey. You've got 5 guys there who might be unhappy, I would suggest, Lawrence. Add to that the 3 guys who are involved, who wanted to leave and were on their way out the door, potentially. And then you've got 8 players. So people go, there seems to be an issue with there isn't much of a bounce or an energy. When a third of your squad's unhappy, that's what happens.
Oh, without doubt. It's down to Brendan to get the best out of it, out of the squad. But we're so short up front. That's the only reason I'm thinking just leave him on, because your other options, Johnny Kenny, through the middle. At some point you'd expect we'd change the striker, or maybe even shot caller, try 2 up top for after a goal at home.
Well, we changed to 3 at the back, right, during the week, of course, Lawrence, and for a spell, it opened up. It did. It's easy to forget that because
it looked so French, didn't it? The player, they were no longer going through. It didn't look like they were going through the motions, and I think that's. Listen, we get, it's change of point of attack. retain the ball, but sometimes it just looks like the players are going through the motions with these backward passes.
It's robotic.
We'll just keep our control up. Where's Liam Scales? Get the ball to him. You're like, geez, if you turn with that, we're in there half. We don't need to go back to our back line. We've got to go forward. It's that's where the goals are.
I think
try and get near them.
What you'll see in the first 5 minutes of the second half is Callum McGregor will obviously be told to start carrying the ball, because you see it for the first 5-10 minutes of the second half and he looks like he's full of intent. But what tends to happen, unless you change the shape of the team, Lawrence, is you get a situation where we just click right back into that same rhythm that we're stuck in at the moment, which is very predictable, very slow, looking for that point of attack that never comes. Let's go back to the action. Thanks everybody for joining us at halftime. Hopefully we'll have a better and more productive second half, but regardless of what happens, Lawrence and I will be here at full time. Thank you all for joining us once again on a Celtic State of Mind.